This week's episode of Warhammer Thoughty comes from the brand new location of the opposite corner of the room. But don't worry, it's the same old idiot rambling the same old shit. How you doing, guys? Like I said, back once again with another episode of Warhammer Thoughty. What can I talk about this week? I've not really thought about a topic until about 5 minutes ago. So this week's topic is hobby burnout and how to deal with it. At the minute, I'm suffering from what I'd class as a minor bout of hobby burnout, and it's quite apt because a lot of people are asking on Facebook groups and stuff. I've seen it asked in the Idic Beer 40k Facebook group, 40k Wargaming Unification group on Facebook. There's been a couple of people ask on there like how you deal with hobby burnout and lack of enthusiasm for the hobby. I've also seen, I think on Wargamer Online's group, the community group, the same question being asked, or the same sorts of questions. And last night I watched a Sit with Sam, or a Saturday night, I can't remember what the stream's called, I think it's Sit with Sam, on the Wargamer Online channel, and the topic of the show was how do you deal with hobby burnout. So I'm suffering, like I said at the minute, from a mind about hobby burnout. Now, when do I get hobby burnout? Sometimes it's when I try and focus on a project and just continue that to completion, and then when I get, when the end's in sight, I tend to be like, I don't know if I can bother finishing now. And at the minute, I've got these Tau miniatures. I've got 3 Pathfinders and a little homing beacon thing for the stealth team. I've got them to finish. And I don't think it's that that's causing my hobby burnout this time, though. I think what it is just I tend to get hobby burnout when there's a change in my working schedule, or there's a change in my life, or something goes wrong in the house or with the car, or I've got a lot on in my outside life. So yeah, I think on this occasion it's more because I've just had a lot on in my outside life. My pipes froze the other night in the kitchen, or the cold water tap froze anyway. So I had to sort that out. But it was before that the burnout had struck, and it was I think it was just general things like my working schedule's changed. Albeit I've got an extra day off now, which is great, and I'm doing more hours in fewer days. But I don't mind that, to be honest. It seems alright. It's just I'm tired at the end of the day when I get home. But anyway, how do I deal with it? That's the question I've seen asked in a lot of groups recently. So how do you deal with hobby burnout? For me, the best way of dealing with it is just taking a bit of time off from the hobby. There's no two ways about it for me. If I try and force myself to paint, my painting becomes really bad. Like, my painting's not great anyway. It's okay, but I don't tend to paint to what I would say is a high standard. I can do paint jobs that look good in a massed force, because it's a unified force on the table from a couple of feet away. They look great, the miniatures. They're that small, so you're not going to see every little detail. But when you get up close to them, my paint jobs aren't amazing. You can see that. But for me, the best way of dealing with it is just to take a break. Now, if that's not an option for you, then I'd suggest trying a few things. And one of those things is just to someone suggested this in one of the comments of one of the posts on the Facebook group. They suggested just pick a colour that you need to get onto a model and just paint that colour, like as if you would in batch painting, I suppose. So let's say I want to paint all the pants black on these Tau. So I'd get my black out, I'd paint that, and then I suppose I'd pick up the next miniature, paint that next one, paint that, paint all the areas where there's going to be a bit of black. And I think that's the hour a night approach, I guess, where if you don't know what the hour a night approach is, you just paint for an hour a night, and then gradually, over the course of a year, 2 years, for me probably about 16 years, because I've got that many unpainted miniatures, gradually those grey miniatures become painted miniatures. So yeah, when you're not that enthused about the hobby, for me, I just like to stay well away from it, or not well away from it. You know, I still watch all the YouTube videos and try and get inspiration from them. But I still watch YouTube videos. I still read if I'm reading a book at the time, or White Dwarf. I still buy that every month, and I keep falling behind on White Dwarf at the minute. There's a new one out, and I've only just started the one from January. So yeah, what I like to do is just consume the hobby in other ways, basically. So I say I take a break from the hobby, but really I'm consuming it in other ways, and that's possibly a good tip for you as well. Just see what other people are up to on YouTube and on Facebook groups and forums and stuff like that, and you might get inspired by something they've done. Just look at 40k artwork, or if it's 40k you play, if it's Age of Sigmar you play, look at Age of Sigmar artwork. If it's historicals you play, look. The great thing about historicals is there's loads of films about various points in history. Watching those films could be an inspiration for you to, if you there's a TV series on at the minute, Fall of a City. I think it's about the Siege of Troy. Is it the Siege of? Yeah, I think it's about the Siege of Troy, and it's on BBC. I've not watched it myself. I just caught snippets of it, but it brings in a bit of the mythical side of it, and also the side that is closer to being historical. And also there's loads of TV shows about Rome, and there's TV shows about World War II, and movies, and World War One, and various parts of history that are often inspirations for different miniature war games. So if you need a break from the hobby, maybe think about taking a break from painting side of the hobby and stuff like that, but just try and get enthused about what it was that inspired you to get into the hobby in the first place. Like I said though, my technique of sort of taking a step back from the hobby, it doesn't work for everyone, because some people might have signed up to go to a tournament or something like that, and they need to paint an army by a certain day so they can take it to the tournament. I personally don't find deadlines as a good tool for me to use, because like I said, they tend to be when I've got a deadline to paint something, it tends to be when I get a bit of burnout. The Wargamer Online community, they do like community paint events and stuff now and again, and one of them was when the new edition of 40k came out, I think it was then, it was to paint a new force, about 500 points or something, I think it was, and I was painting the Primaris Space Marines from the Dark Imperium box set, and they're just left to one side at the minute, unfinished. I got to a certain point, it's like in my head I was like, I'm not gonna make it. What's the point? What's the point in even finishing them? And so deadlines for me don't work. For other people, deadlines do work, and they're the motivator that they just need to stay up late into the night and get everything painted. And if you suffer a bout of hobby burnout or lack of enthusiasm for the hobby in the run-up to a tournament, it's just really unfortunate. And my technique of taking a step back from the hobby obviously isn't going to work for you. I don't know what to say to you. I'll be honest, I don't know what to say to people in that situation. The technique of an hour a night could work if you've got enough time to paint in the run-up to the tournament. Let's say you're a reasonably quick painter, and you've got like 3 or 4 units to paint of, let's say, to keep it simple, 10 Marines in each unit. You might be able to get that done if you've got like a week and you're painting for an hour a night. Or it depends on the level of paint job you want to do. You might want to do just the basics. The many tournaments, I understand, have a 3-colour minimum. You might just want to do that. And rather than trying to do your best paint job on those miniatures, use simpler techniques maybe. So where you would normally do highlighting, various stages of highlighting, wet blending, stuff like that, just use dry brushing washes to bring out the detail on the miniature. The great thing about GW miniatures, at least, I'm not too sure about other companies' miniatures, but the great thing about GW miniatures is there's a lot of detail on them. So if you do use techniques like dry brushing, and washes and stuff like that, it lends itself quite well to looking okay from a foot away or so on the tabletop, and looking pretty good. So there's a few things to think about if you get hobby burnout. Some people find it really inspirational to listen to podcasts. Hearing again, it's about hearing about what other people are doing in the hobby, about the fun people are having in the hobby. Some people probably really enjoy the fluff videos, the likes of Vaults of Terror and Tactica Imperialis do on YouTube. And there's probably podcasts out there with similar things. So just try different things. That's all I can say to you, really. For me, it's all about just taking a step back from the actual painting side of the hobby and just consuming the hobby in other ways. So you have to. There's no one technique that works for everyone. There's no one size fits all solution. So yeah, just find the solution that works for you. There might not be one that I've listed there that's going to help you, but you have to find what works for you. That's the problem. It's not as simple as just saying, oh yeah, just do this and then you'll be really enthused for the hobby again. Oh, just take a load of drugs and then yeah, you'll be. We're not living in the 41st millennium where Necromunda gangs use like all stims to get the job done and stuff like that. Like, we'll leave it there, guys. I've gone off on a little tangent. We'll leave it there. Thanks very much for watching. If you are suffering from hobby burnout at the minute, find the solution that works for you, and I will see you on the battlefield.